I just love making fun of the Mets right now. I'm gonna keep that going. Actually, I'm not. I have something positive to
You
say
do.
about the Mets, also at the catcher position, and this is Francisco Alvarez. So he started off really slow. I think he was one for his first 15, but recently has started to turn things off on a bit at the plate. Had his first 2 home run game on Tuesday against the Reds. He's hitting 308, 12 for 39 over his last 14 games. I still think he's going to struggle with the strikeout. There are times that he seems a little over aggressive, and I think after a night where he hits two home runs, like maybe that'll happen a bit more here in the coming days. I think that's something to watch. But Alvarez was not just a top catching prospect, but one of the top overall prospects in the game. A very quick bat, light tower power, just need a little bit more, a little bit of time to get comfortable at the major league level. Also, keep in mind he's catching a pitching staff which is in shambles right now for the Mets. So I think it made sense to give him a little bit of time to get comfortable. But I think any catcher that's producing, you mentioned Haas, but also Alvarez, like if he's getting comfortable against major league pitching, just ride it out and see what happens here. The Mets lineup, I don't think it's going to be as bad as it has been over the past couple of weeks or so. So I think it's a good time to jump on board with Alvarez.
We know the bat is world class. What has your impression been of his defense, and how will that allow him to get in the field as a catcher? And I'm not hip to this. I know you follow the Mets closer than I do. Have they been
Yeah.
giving him non-catcher work?
I believe only here and there, not as much as you might think. Against left-handed pitching, they have Tommy Pham, they have Mark Canha, right-handed batters. So like the DH opportunities against lefties, not necessarily there. Alvarez has been surprisingly good for framing. He's in the 90th percentile for framing, so he's holding his own there. The pop time to second base is 73rd percentile, so that's not really an issue. And in general, I mean, teams are stealing like crazy. So I wouldn't say they're stealing on Alvarez as much as just teams are very aggressive stealing bases right now. But yeah, I think he's passing the eye test so far as holding on to a catcher position for the long term, which is a big deal from a fantasy perspective. Again, I mentioned a minute ago, like this Mets pitching staff is really bad right now, and we've seen what's going on with Max Scherzer. He got pushed back due to neck spasms. Who knows the next time he's going to pitch? They need Verlander to be the ace of this staff moving forward because everything else is looking pretty rough right now. That's a tough situation for any rookie catcher to have to handle. But Alvarez can hit. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Man, I was really hoping that Peterson was going to pop this year. I was
Yeah.
really excited when Senga got
Mhm.
off to a good start. I'm looking for answers on this Mets pitching staff. I'm not sure I'm seeing them, but
Yep.
certainly Alvarez's bat has me excited. And we've talked a lot about Brett Beatty on this show too, and he
Mhm.
looks like a guy who's here for good. LaMonte Wade's going to be my next play in San Francisco, and I think the only reason he's still able to be picked up in so many leagues is because he's a platoon guy. But
Yeah.
look, it's a very clean platoon. He bats leadoff for the Giants against right-handed pitching. Obviously, that's most of the world is right-handed. So even though the Giants play those West Coast games, they can be a little bit of a pain in the neck for a part-time guy. At least you know when Wade's going to play. Right-handed starter, he's batting leadoff.
Yeah.
261, 438, 511 slash. I mean, that's slugging it on base is terrific. He's first base and outfield eligibility, and an even number of walks and strikeouts. You know how I feel about that. Whenever I see that, I
Yeah.
want hugging strangers. So he's the best Lamont since Sanford Sun. We're a very Sanford Sun friendly program. We talked about the theme song. We're going to give you Lamont Wade. Not for every format. In the shallower formats, you need somebody who plays every day. I get it. Although Wade in very limited time has actually hit lefties this year. It's a
Yeah.
really short sample though, but I think he's going to tear up righties. The San Francisco lineup is a little bit top heavy, but if he's batting leadoff, that's the place to be. So let's work on that Lamont Wade ownership tag. I think it's a little bit low.
Yeah, 940 OPS against righties so far this season. Last year was a rough one for him, injuries and whatnot. But 2 years ago, had an 860 OPS against righties as well. If you're in a league where you can make daily lineup changes, I think he's pretty much a must as far as rostering.